Making a Difference Luncheon. We're delighted to have you as guests this afternoon. Thank you all for coming out on this cool day for May, but hey, it's not raining. We have a full agenda for you, so please go ahead and continue to eat. Please, we insist on that. I'm Cheryl Board Chair of Chester County Fund for Women and Girls. I hope you enjoyed the trips of a lifetime. You're still out there. They're doing great. The silent auction and the raffle offerings. The alcohol definitely was the crowd favorite, I have to tell you right now, from what I saw over there. As well as taking the time to connect with each other. We're so excited and encouraged to see more and more empowered women and girls engaging with issues affecting our communities for an inclusive future for all at the local, state, and national levels. It's wonderful to see so many friends here today, both longtime supporters and newcomers, men and women from across Chester County. We're especially pleased to welcome our nonprofit partners in the audience. Agencies across the county working daily to improve the lives of women and girls and their families. Could you please stand and be recognized, our nonprofit partners? Thank you very much. We're especially pleased to welcome our nonprofit partners again. Thank you. As board chair for the past 2 years and a volunteer for nearly 15 years, I can't believe it's been nearly 15 years when I was calculating it. I'll be passing the baton to the incredibly effective, resourceful, and brilliant Judy Bell, our current board vice chair. Judy. Thank you, Judy. I appreciate it. Though I will continue to be a fund board volunteer and a champion of the fund's vital work in our community, I will look back fondly on my involvement thus far. Most notably, I've had the pleasure of leading the organization through exciting changes and challenges, chairing this wonderful event, and serving on our development and grants allocation committees. Through all of these experiences, it's been incredibly rewarding to be a part of a diverse group of women who are so committed to making a brighter, healthier, and safer future for both women and girls. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors and give a heartfelt thank you to Mrs. Barbara Jordan, Chase Law Group, Land Services USA, HO West Foundation, Judy and Tim Bell, Kleingard LLC, Mill Creek Capital Advisors, Soulfork Oil Lube Express, Mrs. Bank, thank you, Rita, Exelon, Mary Lou Sturge, and Denise Wine, Financial Advisor of Wells Fargo Financial Advisors. Thanks to all of these sponsors for being generous leaders and catalysts for change. Thank you, guys. Finally, this event is a success because of the many people who work diligently behind the scenes and who support the fund. The current board and all former board members of the fund, the luncheon committee, and the fund staff. Please stand and know how much you are appreciated. So the board. With such a successful legacy of history, I'm honored to be part of making history today for women and girls in Chester County. Thank you for your encouragement, support, and belief in the whole work that we do. Together, we are making a difference. I now would like to introduce Michelle Sanchez, standing right there, Executive Director of the Fund, who's going to now share more information about our mission. Thank you, Michelle.
Good afternoon. A little shorter than Tricia. Good with you. Such a pleasure to be with you all today. As Tricia said, my name is Michelle Sanchez, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chester County Fund for Women and Girls. It's hard to believe that this is my third annual luncheon as Executive Director. Like a holiday, the anticipation and excitement leading up to it has become embedded into my rhythm. I've come to look forward to the synergy that occurs when nearly 300 supporters of our mission come together and the inspiration and the learning from incredible women like our keynote, Morgan Berman, and of course Cheryl Miles, our Kitchen Table Award honoree. But just like Christmas, there's a lot that goes into the magic. As Tricia mentioned, our luncheon committee, as well as our board, who pitch in not just with the luncheon, but in countless ways. They give their time, talent, and treasure to make all of the fun's work possible. And a million thanks goes out to our team, May Kelly, Brandon Serini, Deanna Wiley, and our Westchester University interns this past year, Amanda Nolly and Marie Myers. It's actually their last day, so it's a good way to go out. Thank you, Amanda and Marie. It's truly a group of selfless individuals who are so committed to our mission of ensuring women and girls have the resources and opportunity to thrive. So thank you very much, guys. You are the best. So I'm very fortunate that my professional passions align so closely with my personal passions. As the mother of 5 girls, I can't help but take what I see in my work among our community and zoom in to think about how it applies to my girls. Or the converse, I can't help but to magnify the situations in my girls' lives and wonder how it applies to women and girls as a whole. I'll give you an example. If you know me and my family, you may know that most of our weekends are spent watching my 2 oldest daughters, ages 13 and 10, on the softball field. We travel near and far for them to play. In fact, we are leaving in about 4 hours for a tournament in Rehoboth. And though such a big commitment of time and resources for our family, my husband and I find it's worth it because it's really an opportunity for our girls' personal growth and character building through a game that they love. Both of my older daughters are pitchers, and so this role in particular is such an intense way to learn how to relax under pressure, quickly let your mistakes go, and develop resilience. As a mom watching your kid pitch, it can certainly be stressful, but it can also be very rewarding. When she's up there, I see her kick the dirt on the mound. She squeezes and she turns the ball in the glove. And sometimes, in her lowered shoulders, I can tell that she's confronted with self-doubt. Perhaps imposter syndrome even. Those feelings that she's not enough or she's a fraud. Something all too common among women, right? Sometimes those innings can be long. Pitch after pitch, I see her battling. Then she pauses. All eyes on her, but she takes her time. She waits till she's ready, and she fires that ball in a way I never dreamed that my baby could do. Such power, such strength. Nothing makes me happier than seeing her take that moment. It's that moment, that second before she winds up, where I know she's won her battle. She knows and she believes what she's capable of. I wish for that moment in every aspect of her life, and I wish for that moment for all the women and girls our organization touches. And it's incredibly powerful to see when that moment is evident in our work. This year, we held our Girls in Action Summit at Westchester University. This was our first ever, as we saw an increasing amount of interest in our Girls Advisory Board, or GAB, that exceeded our capacity. After a full day of girls from all over the county coming together to learn about the needs of our community, philanthropy, and ways to foster change, we asked our attendees to write on a Post-it a takeaway of something that they learned. Here's that moment again. You can see the circled one. It says, "The power is in you." Here's a young woman's understanding that she has what it takes to reach her full potential. Late last summer, we worked together with Surrey Services to host an event called Stories of Womanhood. It was an intergenerational conversation, and this is what I mean by intergenerational. This is our oldest and our youngest participants that day, age 100 and age 12. Many of the conversations were documented through audio and video. It was a chance to preserve the stories of countless moments of strength and heroism so that they can be passed down and called upon for inspiration. And this year, We are partnering with the Chester County Women's Commission on hashtag #ChescoKnows, a survey on sexual harassment in Chester County workplaces. We are grateful to the Chester County Commissioners, Michelle Kickline, Kathy Kazone, and Terrence Farrell, for their initiative, support, and partnership in having a better understanding of what is happening right here. What's going on in our work environments that may be standing in the way of safer, more respectful, and more productive workplaces that enable all employees to reach their full potential. Over 900 individuals participated in the survey. Stay tuned for more details on the release of the findings and events and happenings related as we turn hashtag #ChescoKnows into hashtag #ChescoActs. And of course, through the work of the organizations we fund, we see our grantee partners setting up thousands of women and girls for success and helping them find their moments of strength. So I thank you for your time in joining us today. Thank you for what you do to help women and girls in our lives find their moments of strength. Truly, it makes my job a joy and a pleasure. I am now happy to introduce our keynote speaker, Morgan Berman, the founder and CEO of Milk Crate, a mission-driven tech company helping other mission-driven organizations achieve their impact goals. Her platform powers apps for some of the world's leading nonprofits and municipal programs. Morgan has presented at Forbes 30 Under 30, was listed by the UN Foundation as one of the top 10 female entrepreneurs to watch in the world, and was invited to the White House for Clean Energy Plan talks. She stands out as a young, brave, female trailblazer in so many areas. And finally, as a mixed martial arts fan myself, here's my favorite fact about Morgan. She competes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Not a sport for the weary heart. We are so pleased to have Morgan here with us today to share some of her experiences. Please join me in welcoming her to the Making a Difference.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Berman and I am the founder and CEO of a Philadelphia-based company called Milk Crate. Over the past 5 years, we have accidentally become an award-winning solution for the world's nonprofit programs and municipal initiatives. With our platform, nonprofit clients can now launch affordable, customized mobile apps that engage their nonprofit program participants and track their impactful behavior. When a nonprofit can reach their program participants where they are, where we all are these days, on our phones, now nonprofit program managers can challenge participants to act in ways that can be tracked and measured against the organization's grant-funded goals, like getting more teens to go to museums, more parents to reach their children, or more adults to vote. All examples of our current clients and how they use the apps we built them. There we go. Our goal is to make impact actionable and measurable, a goal that for me began when I was just starting out in my career 10 years ago. As I alluded to, I am an unwitting startup founder almost 6 years ago when I was in graduate school at Philadelphia University for my master's thesis. Oh yeah, Flash Jefferson now, but whatever. Sustainable design, my field of study, had become a personal passion, increasingly morphing into a professional pursuit. I was deeply concerned that our planet's environmental and resource issues weren't being internalized by the mainstream consumer world fast enough. My goal at the time was to take all the information I had learned about how to be a more sustainable urban dweller, so I pulled it all together, my childhood, my studies, into an app like any good millennial, and my idea for a green Yelp attracted like-minded others, and the press soon followed. I got a life-altering call from Forbes about 2 weeks after the first version of our app went live. Barely a year after I first conceived the idea, we were one of the 5 companies Forbes had selected from around the country to pitch at the Under 30 Summit. As a result, we attracted investors, accolades from the UN Foundation, and much more. Enthusiastically, naively, we set about testing a business model that typically requires millions in marketing that we did not have. After nearly 2 years of repeated failure, we made the painful decision to change our product and our business model. Now we hope to try a B2B model with a platform that could build apps to engage employees in sustainability and track their impact for their corporate employees' CSR goals. It made sense on paper, and we even ran a successful paid pilot with Comcast, something few startups can boast. It felt like we were finally on the right path. But we found that the market's needs and the budget didn't have room either for us or our vision. So after another year or two of testing and learning, we had to admit that things still weren't working out as planned. The bad news, the client market fit we thought we wanted was a disaster. The good news, we had one client that was amazing. But they were not a company, they were a nonprofit. Finding them had been almost an accident. Their board members suggested they reach out to us about their program's engagement and data challenges, and it turned out to be a perfect fit. They needed an app to engage program participants with location check-ins, polls, push notifications, all things we could already do. They paid us well and on time, and just as importantly, they were extracting great value out of our product. We had a perfect client fit, finally. But next we had to figure out how to do the magic over and over and over again. And it took a lot of scary moments and an equal number of hard decisions leading to our current, and I hope, final model. Basically, when an organization runs a program, sort of like this one today, and there are people who have signed up to be in that program, like all of you, there are things you need to do to be a good participant. Things like articles to read, polls to answer, surveys to answer, videos to watch, consuming content. And then you need to act on that content, like going places, signing up for events, volunteering, activities. And then you need to share that action with others in the group or out in the world. And finally, your program organizers want to be able to reach you to remind you to do all of this stuff over and over again, like sending a push notification or a chat message. All of this to keep you, the participants, enrolled, engaged, and moving toward your organization's stated goals. And then tracking that data for your funders so you can keep doing it. It's been over a year since our last pivot, and I'm glad to say I'm so relieved that we made it here. Now, finally, we are growing our client base every week, with amazing organizations having a tangible impact in the world. And we're the ones that get to help facilitate it and track it. But I haven't gotten this far alone. I've had my team and my advisors back me, guide me, argue with me every arduous, scary, rewarding, fun-filled step of the way. And I can't stress enough how important it is to have people like that in your corner. People who care about you and the problem that you're solving. Today I find that I'm now lucky enough and grateful to be on both ends of that cycle, offering support to new founders as a mentor and board member in the Philly Startup Leaders Accelerator and the Tribe 12 Incubator. I speak regularly with other founders offering advice and connections that I was given, giving back and helping others with how innovation and how women in innovation can and do grow. Every generation must feel like the future is up to them to fix, that they've inherited a mess of a world filled with inequity and dysfunction. Or maybe I just feel like that since I'm a millennial who graduated in 2008. Either way, the research is solid that the world gets better when women and girls have access to more capital, more education, and more freedom to choose how to live their lives. According to the Clinton Global Initiative, when women work, they invest 90% of their income back into their families, compared with 35% for men. By focusing on girls and women, innovation, businesses, and organizations can spur economic progress, expand markets, and improve health and education outcomes for everyone. And organizations like this one play a crucial role in building that better future. It is crucial that we allow girls to learn how to take a fall, learn from their mistakes, embrace adventure, and help others avoid some of the nastier bruises that come with uncharted territory. As women, we set very high, impossibly high standards for ourselves and sometimes our girls. Brave Not Perfect is a book by Areshma Saljani where she's encouraging us as women to teach bravery over perfection as an ideal character trait to girls, and I heartily agree. And I'm glad, Michelle, you seem to as well. I have a suggestion for how we can do that. Because while teaching to embrace failure is all the rage these days, I don't think that's enough. We can't just say the words and think them and expect to change our mindset. We need to feel it. We need to feel it in our bodies, in our bones. The same way we feel the rage and terror that comes with failure, we need to start feeling comfortable being brave in the face of extreme odds. It isn't common in our everyday lives to simulate the feeling of a panic attack, the loss of breath and blood flow, but that is exactly what I do at least 3 nights a week on those jiu-jitsu mats. I am paying good money to be in a gym where people stronger and more skilled than me use me as their plaything to hone their skills. I know this because now I do the same thing with the people who are newer and smaller than me. The only thing better than being a brown belt is being a black belt. The only thing worse than being a blue belt is a white belt. When I get to fight a white belt, I get a taste for what that black belt feels when they so easily dispatch with me. I've willingly, eagerly been doing this for almost 3 years. The only people I can beat easily are either brand new or half my size. Anything bigger or better, and I have to work to win. It takes a really long time to get good at jiu-jitsu. These experts have been doing this for 6, 8, 10, 12 years. I have a long way to go, and I see women give up all the time. There was this one woman, Nora, who was a slightly higher rank than I was, but I would beat her when we sparred. She left the mat crying after a roll once. I felt terrible because I knew how I had in the past also fallen to pieces after an emotionally challenging match. But that is the necessary pain to grow, and those experiences of falling apart are what make room for us to build ourselves even stronger than before. Unfortunately, she did stop coming to class, and I made a note to remember that I wouldn't end my jiu-jitsu journey that way. It wouldn't be because I was scared of my own shortcomings. Several years ago, I gave a TEDx talk about trying out jobs and boyfriends, and the viscerally similar disappointment I felt when either or both didn't work out. At the end of my talk, I flashed my phone number on the final slide, still hoping the boy who had ignored me in kindergarten might see my talk on the internet and call me and save me from my singleness. It was definitely a bold move. Feel free to Google Morgan Berman TEDx talk later. A few years later, today, I find myself very happily engaged. Not to the boy I loved in kindergarten. Luckily, my tastes have matured since I was 5. When I look back now, I realize I left out the most painful parts of that story. My most painful learning memories and experiences working in the nonprofit world, like most others, all came down to power and money. When I was 23 and in my first job post-college, I was lucky to be doing what I cared about most. I was working at a nonprofit dedicated to providing people, mostly women regardless of their resources, the full spectrum of reproductive health care. What happened? According to what I was told from higher ups, our affiliate's former CFO had embezzled thousands of dollars. The state funding was dwindling thanks to political pressure, and a deflated economy had hurt patient revenue. And that's when the layoffs started. Every person on my level was laid off, and I remember thinking, where are the adults? I thought adults were supposed to know how to run things better. Of course, this was, again, 2008 when the whole economy collapsed, exactly because of greedy and incompetent adult behavior. So off I went for the next couple of opportunities. In one new role, I was challenged with a caseload of approximately 15 women who were pregnant or new mothers and who needed support in a variety of areas, from navigating the healthcare system for an infected tooth to securing baby formula when the WIC ran out, or how to get a stroller for a new child. It was rewarding in that I had continuity with my clients. I was able to help them over time and know when they benefited from my efforts. The downside, I had inherited a caseload from a predecessor who had clearly forged and made up much of her client interactions with data. What was worse was that my supervisor didn't seem to care, and over time my awareness of the problem only grew. I realized that the baby formula we were handing out was often expired, so I threw it out. And then I was chastised. I kept discarding it because I couldn't bear the idea of a child getting sick because of me. I was equally furious that the clothes and bottles and pacifiers that had been donated to us were being stored in open trash bags on the floor of our filthy little office where cockroaches and other vermin sorry you're eating would regularly skitter about. In an effort to more safely store these items, I began cleaning out the storage we had. A decrepit metal overhead filing system that was half filled with unused paper forms that were 5-10 years out of date and entirely useless. My list of offenses recounted to me on the day I was fired mostly revolved around my blatant disregard for instructions and wasting supplies. I've had some deep belly-sobbing sessions in my life, but this one is definitely going down in the books. I was so young, so naive, so hopelessly committed to my sense of right and wrong. I basically was wearing a sign on my back from day one that said, "Fire me," because I was incapable of doing things other than what felt right to me. And I'm glad I was that way, but it was a big learning lesson about how to fight and how not to. Shortly after that learning experience, I was lucky enough to be hired to work for the perfect counterbalance. Dr. Seema Sonad, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, who built her career researching professional mentorship between women. So it should probably be no surprise that a woman like her would be in the business of mentoring lost young women like me. After learning of my background in women's health and research, she picked me to be her protege. This job gave me the breathing room I needed to get my life in order, to consider my options, and Asima reminded me on a very regular basis, go to graduate school. She was such an academic and a fearsome athletic competitor, so much so she died with her sneakers on while running in a long-distance race. I am forever grateful to her for reaching out to me, mentoring me, and I have in my way continued to carry on her values and legacy by mentoring younger women in turn. Let's fast forward. I have successfully extracted myself from a job working in a cafe and a relationship with a really bad boyfriend. I landed in graduate school, fully funded, thank goodness, determined to work on a cause I cared about, but with the freedom to be creative and grow professionally. Little did I know that as an extension of securing my degree requirements, I'd be building a company at the same time. So here I am today, shaped and honed, stubborn as ever, hoping to inspire organizations to track their impact, use their resources more wisely, and perhaps adopt a more business-savvy approach to their efforts. To survive this very challenging new role I've created for myself in a very male-dominated industry, I've joined a competitive martial arts team. I regularly speak around the world, mostly to groups for women, about how this has become a crucial outlet for the fierceness and bravery we all need in our everyday lives. Like most sports, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a game of strategy, but unlike many sports, it has a focus on using leverage to submit your opponent, not strength. I started training because my mom had been nudging/nagging me for months about needing to find an outlet for the stress of my work. Of course, stubborn daughter that I am, it took almost a year before I finally did something that has since changed my life forever. One summer day back in 2016, I opened up Google and typed in 4 words, martial arts near me. It turned out to be one of those fork in the road life moments. Nothing prepared me for what it feels like to sit on my knees and face a male opponent who is taller, heavier, and stronger. And to fight. What I was even more unprepared for, what it feels like to beat him and win. This is the beauty of jiu-jitsu. Go online and you'll find videos of women besting men twice their size with the skills they've honed over many more years training than I've had. You beat him with your skill, with your leverage, with your game. You win, he loses. Very clear and simple victory. There's no ambiguity about favorable treatment, pay scales, crossing lines of sexual harassment, gender bias, class ceilings, none of that exists. He tried, you prevailed, done. When else do we get such a pure victory, where no one can say it was because you were attractive or unattractive, or they had to meet a quota or something else? No one can take that victory away. There's just something so unusual about getting to fight in a truly even and uncorrupted field against an opponent, male or female, like I can with a jiu-jitsu match. We as women are always being reminded that we are vulnerable, that we are weaker, that we can't or should not try and do the same things as men, or that our appearance will be a distraction or a hindrance. I didn't realize how much I had bought into this garbage until after I beat my first opponent. I almost didn't believe it. But then it happened again, and again. Not always, of course. Most of the men and women on my team can still kick my butt. But the thing is, sometimes you fight better, you move smarter, and you win, regardless of their gender or yours. In the weeks leading up to my very first real competition, I was constantly preparing myself to do one thing: lose. I was convinced there was no way I could win, no way I should even think about it, because then I'd just be disappointed. I had never been good at sports, never knew what victory felt like or where it came from. It was literally the last moment before stepping onto that mat that I decided maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if I stepped out there open to the idea that I could win. I have no idea what would have happened if I had a time machine and gone in with a different attitude. Kind of the same way I never know how to answer the question, what's it like to be a woman in tech? How would I know? I can't hit rewind and do this all over again as a man. I have nothing to compare this to. Anyways, I stepped out there on that mat and I won. I never expected it, but at the last moment, I let myself consider it and maybe even hope for it. And let me tell you, the badass women on my team are the reason that happens. Because when you have to fight that many amazing skilled opponents night after night, men and women, it's hard to not have an edge. In my very first real attempt at being an athlete and being treated like one by my coach, I took a gold medal home. It was incredible, and I realized how every win is won not just by you, but by all the people that got you to that moment and helped carry you through it. Like I said, when I was younger, I hated sports. Now I'm in my 30s and my world is very different. To date, I've had 6 competitive fights and I've won them all. My teammate, after my last fight, came over and said, "You know what this means, right? You're undefeated." Initially, I brushed her comment off saying 6 isn't that many fights, knowing that she herself is closer to 100 or more. But then I stopped myself. What would I say to another woman? I would celebrate her. I would tell her she's amazing for putting herself out there and winning. So who am I to disparage myself? This is a trick I've learned to put myself in the shoes of another woman and how would I talk to her, and I strongly recommend it. Part of why I'm telling you my story about jiu-jitsu is because I remember what it felt like to have those bigger, older boys push me around on the playground, to grope me in gym class, to punch me in the stomach when the teacher wasn't looking. And then later as an adult, when I was catcalled on the street or taken advantage of by male friends as a drunk college student. When we struggle to become an adult, a businesswoman, a leader, we all have scars like this. And as a former women's studies major turned women's health advocate, and now a women's tech CEO and martial artist, I know firsthand the struggles women face as underrepresented or underserved groups. I want to show up here today to tell you, maybe for the first time or as a reminder, that women can fight above our weight class and win. The same night I beat a man the same rank as me, but much larger, I was instructed to fight a woman on my team who has been a semi-pro athlete for her entire adult life. She's also a bodybuilder and 8 years younger than me. A normal roll or match is 4 to 6 minutes, and those are very long minutes. After the match, my coach told me he let us roll for almost 20. In the end, she submitted me, as she always does, but that night I earned my blue belt. And just like in the professional world, it is always after the longest and toughest battles that the greatest victories are often earned. I'm still very early in my jiu-jitsu career and my tech career, but it's almost been 3 years, and in that time I've learned enough to occasionally be helpful to much newer teammates. Last week in class, I had an experience when working with a young woman who recently joined our team. She's a very smart and determined young woman. She's a first-year medical student, and she is used to struggling and pushing. We were doing a drill of this move, and she was using all of her strength and completely failing. You see, jiu-jitsu is all about technique. Strength is nice, but it's not what's going to win. And I had this light bulb moment where I realized what was messing her up. She was trying to move me when what she should have been doing was focusing on moving herself around me. I told her, don't try to control me. I'm just a prop. Ignore me. Focus on yourself. Move your body around me instead of moving me around you. And it actually worked. She was able to break out of the mindset of fighting someone and instead focus on her own movement. And that's when she started to float around me. It was incredible. And I realized that when people say jiu-jitsu is the gentle art, it's because of this floating thing that can happen when we fight. The most impressive and successful person on my team, in my opinion, is a former ballerina. When you fight her, it feels like she's floating around and on you, at least until her hands are on your neck. I'm trying to model my approach on hers and pass along what I'm learning. When you've attained the highest ranks in jiu-jitsu, you're called a professor. It's all about learning and teaching, like everything else worth doing in life. Sometimes in our professional lives, it can feel like an unending onslaught of sucker punches, headbutts, and some self-inflicted wounds. I'm lucky that one of my most dominant personality traits is that when I'm faced with a challenge, my instinct is not to run away, but to face it head on. This happened when I was attacked and mugged. My reaction was to chase my assailant. The cop later said that was cool, do not do that again. My impulse to turn and fight showed up again when a room full of Comcast executives said, nice work, but no thanks. 6 months later, they were a client. And again, when our old corporate model wasn't working out, okay, time to pivot, time to work with nonprofits. Throw off my balance, walk my way, I pivot. Knock me down, I get up. The most powerful phrase I've heard in jiu-jitsu is, a black belt is a white belt that never quit. I hope you can take it with you on your journey as a reminder to stick it out, to stay true to your goals while being open to change along the way, and to fight above your weight class. You will surprise yourself.
So much. I mean, some of the key takeaways that I took from that are, Morgan, as part of her lifestyle, has always pivoted, as she said, but retool yourself, retool your company, just continue to do that, because you can't stay in the same rut, as it were, again and again. So she's successfully done that at such a young age. Also passing along, helping others. I think that's one thing that we've all experienced, or at least the women in the room, maybe perhaps some of the men, that some people just are supportive of you, and others are, and who do you gravitate more towards? Those that are going to help you willingly, support you and make sure that you too are a success. And big thing, put yourself out there. And that's really some of the most important, or we can all learn at any age, to be able to put yourself out, because those are some of the keys. But that was wonderful speech. Thank you, Maureen. The Kitchen Table Award was established to honor an outstanding Chester County woman who has demonstrated leadership and made substantive contributions through service and/or philanthropy to improve our community. I'd like to recognize former Kitchen Table honorees who are present today. And when I say your names, if you could please stand up, we'd appreciate it. Susan Elko. Alice Hausman. And Bonnie Van Allen. Please turn your attention to the screen to hear now from some of those who nominated this year's Kitchen Table Award winner, Cheryl Miles.
The name of the Kitchen Table Award came from the origin of our organization, the Chester County Fund for Women and Girls. It started at the kitchen table, where conversations were happening about how women and girls were faring, what they were experiencing in their families, in their communities. And for our founders, it was about turning that dialogue into action. And that is exactly why Cheryl Miles is a perfect honoree for the Kitchen Table Award. She exemplifies turning dialogue into action.
I love how Cheryl is able to connect with women from all walks of life. And that impact has brought women, given women a second chance to be who they really are, women.
She has devoted her life to helping and serving underprivileged women and children in Chester County, and she has done it for so long, for so many years, without a lot of recognition, without a lot of pats on the back, but she continues to serve with passion and with respect for everybody. She has impacted literally thousands of lives.
She is so thoughtful and considerate. She looks at a situation from many angles before making a decision, and it really represents her genuine care for the community and just wanting to see each individual reach their potential.
She understands when she talks to you and she sees someone in need, she gets to the heart of what they really need, and she's able to work with them to help them get to where they need to be.
If you can have a desire to bring people together, from all kinds of backgrounds and all the width of all of the organizations she's associated with, that's special.
And she's special to me because growing up in a house with 7 females, and you can bring them together to move them to the next step, that's an amazing woman.
Her humility, I think, and just her pure heart towards complete selflessness and complete devotion and commitment to whatever the task at hand is or whatever her mission might be. It truly is such a mix of bravery, consistency, vision that she puts forward that people just are inspired by and want to follow.
Congratulations, Cheryl. You just are so deserving of this award. I thank you for all that you've done for me in my life.
Cheryl, I'm wishing you a big, huge congratulatory hug. You deserve this moment. Thank you for being you and for all you do for the community.
Cheryl, congratulations on receiving this award. You deserve it. Thank you for what you do to make Chester County great. It is an honor to work with you.
Thank you for being the woman that you are.
Congratulations, Cheryl. You really deserve this award, and I am so proud of you. I also want to thank you for believing in me, and I'm happy to be on the planning committee for the Single Mothers Conference for my 3rd year in a row. Thanks to you.
You won't understand how much it means to me that you are the recipient of this award, because you have broken so many barriers, and you have inspired so many other women to break barriers.
Wow. You guys are awesome. Sneaky too. Good afternoon. My heart is full of praise and thanksgiving. It's an honor to receive the Chester County Fund for Women and Girls Kitchen Table Award. I accept it on behalf of all of the women that I have worked with, walked alongside, and served. Each of these encounters have helped to shape my understanding of who I am, my view of the world, and what I believe that I was created to do. First, giving honor to God, I'd like to thank the Fund for Women and Girls and those who nominated me for recognizing and supporting my work in the beloved community as we strive together to make a difference. Thank you, Michelle, for your leadership for this great organization and in the community. Thank you for being a dedicated colleague, mentor, and friend. I'd like to give a special thank you to the men in my life, my husband, Anthony, and my sons, Derek and David. To my husband, Anthony, thank you for your unconditional love, for your support, and the sacrifices that you made to make it available, to make it an opportunity for me to be able to serve others. I'd like to thank my mom and my sisters for being here. My parents taught us how to be a good neighbor and to be a servant leader. I'd also like to thank the representative here from my church home, from Good Samaritan Services, for the colleagues that work in the community. It is through your continued support and dedication to positively impact the well-being of our community that has inspired and motivated me. I mentioned earlier that I accepted this award on behalf of the many women that I've encountered over the years. I'd like to just take a few minutes to tell you about one amazing woman who I've had the pleasure to work with, who inspired me. I met Belinda years ago when I worked in a local shelter. She was a beautiful, black, young case manager. She welcomed me into the agency and taught me, her supervisor, how to serve from the heart. As Belinda and I worked together, I learned that she was a single mother. She suffered severe trauma as a child and as an adult. She actually reminded me that I had met her years ago when I was on the staff at a local community mental health center, when she was struggling with severe episodes of mental illness and addiction. It was evident that Belinda had come a long way. She would often say, if it had not been for the Lord, she never would have made it. What really struck me about Belinda was her passion and her burden for her children and for those who shared life experiences such as hers, and her desire to break the cycle of abuse, poverty, and discrimination. She recognized that she had the power within her, along with her experiences, to make a difference in other people's lives. As a result of us working together, I gleaned 5 lessons that I'd like to share with you. Lesson 1, God don't make junk. We are uniquely and wonderfully made. Belinda battled with self-esteem and identity for a very long time as a result of her past experiences. Once she recognized that her past did not define her, she wanted everyone who came into her presence to know how special they were, and treated them with dignity and respect, no matter what their life circumstances or stories were. Lesson 2. We are all created with a purpose. Belinda shared that she had heard the word no. You will never be anything. You will never amount to anything. So many times that she just questioned her purpose and her reason for living. As the negativity in her life was replaced by positive, life-giving affirmation, she understood that every person, including her, were given skills, talents, and gifts to contribute to the world, be it as a parent, employer, friend, or neighbor, the capable and the differently abled persons. Belinda was intentional in her engagement to help others recognize their potential, embrace their limitation, and strive to thrive for themselves as well as others. Lesson 3. We need community. Looking back over her life, Belinda realized that there were many people throughout her life helping her, her family, her church, her friends, her social service agencies, colleagues. Do you know that there's no significant learning without significant relationships? And that one caring relationship. And that one caring relationship can enable a person towards healing. Belinda never wanted anyone to feel alone, as she did often. She would spend countless hours connecting with people at work and in her neighborhood, helping them rebuild broken relationships and/or connect them with new relationships and resources in the community. Lesson 4. We are resilient people. As I shared Belinda's story, I wanted you to get a snapshot of her past, her experiences, and her struggles. However, I want you to also see her triumphs. There's a spirit within us that has a desire to live. It gives us determination and perseverance to keep going, to make it through, to overcome. It is evident in Belinda's life, and her life reminds us that we can make it too. Please note, Belinda's life was in constant recovery. She did all of these wonderful things that I shared with you while still dealing with the negative impact of trauma, poverty, and mental illness. And lastly, lesson 5. We are our sister's keeper. Belinda always talked about how different people in the sectors in the community stepped up to help her at the various points in her life, especially when she could not find her voice or able to help herself. Belinda understood the value of these relationships and became a drum major for the marginalized, who she would say were just like her. So she worked hard to make sure that everybody who came to her for help as a client, friend, neighbor, or even a stranger. She also challenged us to see the person, their need, and our responsibility to help within our spheres of influence. Belinda, my colleague, my mentor, my sister friend, died 3 years ago from colon cancer. Her life highlighted so many great lessons on how we are to help one another. Her life also highlighted data that you would find in the Chester County Fund for Women and Girls 2016 blueprint that displays the negative factors that impact on the lives of women and girls in Chester County, more specifically for Black women and girls. Belinda was a degreed working professional. She spent most of her life dealing with the negative impact of poverty, limited access to health care, mental illness, domestic violence and abuse, cancer, and unsustainable living wages. This issue cannot be dealt with, addressed effectively by helping a person one-on-one. These issues are systematic and they're institutionalized. This calls for us on all levels of the community to come out this calls for us in all levels of the community to find out the whys of why these issues exist and who, what, where, and when in the community are we going to resolve to address these issues. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "I had the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day in their bodies. Education and culture in their minds, dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirit." And I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men, other-centered, can build up. Yes. Well, I agree with Dr. King, and I invite you to become an other-centered community, to help build women and girls in our community. Keeping the lessons in mind, God don't make junk. We're created for a purpose. We need community. We're resilient people, and we are our sister's keeper, while addressing the root causes of the systematic problems that are negatively impacting the lives of Black women and girls. You will help honor me. You will help me honor Belinda's life and her work, as well as strengthen the life of all women in our community. Again, I thank you, the fund, for this award, but I also thank you, the community, for joining in to be able to support the fund that informs, encourages, and empowers us to accept the call to positively impact the women and girls of Chester County. Thank you.
It is now my absolute honor and pleasure to introduce U.S. Senator Bob Casey. Not done yet. He has joined us today to offer Cheryl congratulations for the honor of being a Kitchen Table Award recipient. U.S. Senator Bob Casey fights every day for Pennsylvania families. He is a strong advocate for policies that improve the health care and early learning of children, and policies that will raise wages for the middle class. Senator Casey serves on 4 committees, including the Senate Finance Committee and Senate Health Committee. He's also the highest-ranking Democrat on the Special Committee on Aging, where his agenda focuses on policies that support seniors and individuals with disabilities. Senator Casey and his wife Therese have 4 daughters and live in Scranton. Senator Casey, this is all very impressive, but I must say that my husband has you out-daughtered by 1. We have 5. But we certainly give you credit that you have endured the teenage years, and I think he could use some tips on that one. I am incredibly delighted to have you here, and I am so grateful that you have taken interest in our work. Through the Fund's Blueprint Report, our comprehensive report about the status of women and girls in Chester County, the state, and the nation, we know that 2 out of 5 single moms live below the poverty line here in Chester County. And we also know through the report that the median cost of childcare for a family with 2 kids in Chester County is 22% of that family's income. Behind those numbers, there are hard realities and stories of families like Belinda, as Cheryl shared, and in our communities, and many of our granting partners can also attest to so many other families. And they're all fighting for their chance to succeed. So we are so grateful to you and our other elected officials who are committed to working with us and our grantees to ensure that chance of success. So please join me in welcoming U.S. Senator Bob Casey.
Michelle, thank you for that introduction and for the length of it. I was ready to go back to the short version. Thank you for adding what you did add on those important issues that are central to the life of people living in Chester County, but also across our Commonwealth and our country. And Michelle, I want to thank you for your leadership. I was looking at the Leveraging Progress update, or an update to the Blueprint Report, Leveraging Progress, and just going through the headlines. I haven't read all the text, but the impact that you've had, paid leave and sick pay days, or paid sick days, elder and dependent care, mothers as breadwinners, the cost of early care, child care subsidies, the cost and quality of pre-K education, gaps in mothers and fathers' labor force participation, trends in poverty, health insurance, education, poverty by household type, on and on and on. Virtually every issue that the public officials who are here today, and I include myself in that, wrestle with and work on. I'll talk just briefly about two issues, and we could talk for a long period of time, but I was especially grateful and honored that I was here for Cheryl's presentation. Cheryl, congratulations, what a great story. And it's evident that you've won over a lot of people, male and female. And we're grateful for your story and the reminder that, Cheryl, at one point in your remarks, you talked about being a servant leader. And I think that's a two-word summation of a lot of the work that's done by, not only you've done in your life so significantly, but the work that's done by so many women, and I guess a few guys too, in this room today, that you are servant leaders, not just for this fund, but for Chester County, that you've decided to live your lives in a commitment that is beyond yourself, not simply having a job and a career and a family in some cases, but doing more than that, by engaging in philanthropy, by engaging in advocacy, by bringing your work and your experience and your commitment to all these issues that I just listed and many, many more. So we're grateful. I'm grateful that I'm in a room full of servant leaders. I wanted to say as well that I came in as Morgan was, I don't know where Morgan is, she's right here. I came in a little late, but I heard at least half of your remarks. Really inspiring what you've done and your success. I was also kind of jealous that we don't have someone with a black belt in Washington. Maybe that would be. There are a few guys I'd like you to go battle with. And having heard your remarks, I'm sure you win those battles. Maybe we could persuade them on a couple of issues, which I'll get to. We have obviously a lot of challenges at this time in our nation's history. Those challenges are ever more difficult because of the divide in Washington. I won't try to dwell on that, but I'll just mention two issues quickly. One is child care. We have, I think, a national failure when it comes to addressing the concerns that families have, but especially when it comes to our children. I think all of us believe that every child is born with a light inside them. And it's up to not just that family, but it's up to every, at least, and I'll include others, but at least every elected official to spend as much time in your life as an elected official making sure that light inside of that child burns to the full measure of its potential. Some children don't need a lot of help. They're born into circumstances and have ability and aptitude where they're going to do just fine. But a lot of kids don't. And we want to make sure that in America, that light inside of every child burns to the full measure of its potential. And we're not doing it well as a nation. We don't invest enough in early care and learning. We don't invest enough in making sure that every child, every single child has health care. So I won't dwell on all that we're not doing. I'll just mention two bills that would advance the ball on one substantial part of the gains we need to make in child care. One is a big overarching bill that Senator Patty Murray has, and I'm kind of her co-pilot or co-sponsor. And we're trying to do something new in at least three ways. Make a much more substantial federal contribution with state partnership to pre-K education, to try to make it as close to universal as possible, especially for folks who are lower income, and also at the same time to try to help those trying to get to the middle class. That is a big, big deal and a big project, and it'll be expensive. So we're going to have to talk about using the tax code to finance that. But in a country, let's face it, that had a tax bill passed, ran through the United States Senate and House in 2017, which gave $1.5 trillion to big corporations and gave away tens and tens of billions to the top 1%. And I'm only talking about 1 year, tens and tens of billions. I think we can afford an investment in pre-K. We can afford an investment in child care. We can afford an investment in our children. The second part of the bill is a commitment. The second part of the bill is a commitment to keep child care costs down. If we're not focused on the cost of child care, we're not really moving the ball forward. For a lot of lower income and those just above lower income, and I included that as well, middle class families. By capping, literally capping the expense. Michelle just mentioned that it was a 22%, sorry, she's right here, 22% in Chester County. That number for a single mom in Pennsylvania, on average, this is an average, single mom, center-based care for an infant can cost 46% of her annual income. That is not only unsustainable for her and her family, that's obvious. It's unsustainable for the rest of us. We will not have the high-skilled workforce that we need to outcompete the Chinese or anyone else if we don't start children off with a healthy and smart start in life. So for all the progress we've made on health care, with Medicaid and children's health insurance and other ways to get health care, we still have a long way to go. But on child care, we're even further behind getting the cost down. So the bill speaks to that and also speaks to what we pay the wonderful people who do that work every day, the folks who provide the early care and learning for our children. So that's one bill. The second bill is my bill, and it's a bill to take an existing tax credit and just make it much more substantial and enhance it substantially. And that's the Child and Dependent Care Tax Credit. We want to make sure that that tax credit is fully refundable, that the credit is increased, that the value of this credit is meaningful to people's lives. It's not a very good credit right now for a lot of families. It doesn't do nearly enough for those trying to get to the middle class. It does very little for those in the middle class. So they're just two bills, and we'll try to provide more information, and you can help us pass it even if you don't have a black belt. Get that over the goal line. The last thing I'll talk about is something unfortunately terribly depressing, but I know you're concerned about it, and there's an opportunity to do something about it. I just left Bucks County earlier today, and I was in several other counties recently, talking about the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. The scourge of domestic violence, sexual assault, dating violence, and stalking. All of those 4 categories under the broad headline of intimate partner violence. Despite the great gains of the Violence Against Women Act since its passage in 1994, despite all those gains and all those good programs, we still have a huge problem in the United States of America. Every town, one of the common sense gun measure organizations that sprung up after Newtown, Connecticut, they tell us a lot of things about the data. Here's just one number, 52. If all we remember is this about the connection between gun violence and the lives of women in our society. 52. That's the number of women who are shot and killed every single month in the United States of America. 52 women. That alone should compel us to reauthorize this important piece of legislation. That alone should compel us to do more to bring about common sense gun safety measures, and probably do about 100 other things to get that number down. So we have a long way to go, and this is where you can really help. If you would please bombard the United States Senate, especially on one side of the aisle, I'm not going to guess which one that is. But we have a bill now that came out of the House. It was bipartisan, a Democratic-controlled House, but the bill is ever so slightly, but bipartisan. Not there yet at the U.S. Senate. Just at the beginning of the process at the U.S. Senate that has to go through the Judiciary Committee. Your voices on this bill to get it done this year, it's already over the deadline. It's already technically expired from 2013. Your determination to help us, your voice, and the pressure you can bring to bear will be a substantial factor in getting this done. I consider myself reasonably persuasive, but I'm not nearly persuasive enough to be able to convince someone on the other side to move this forward. And I got news for you, it's not going to be easy. Because if it were just a straight, easy reauthorization, that would be one thing. But we're trying to plug, in addition to reauthorizing all these programs, every one of which is very helpful and good, and it's helped enormously. We have to make sure that we also try to plug what's called the boyfriend loophole that many people in this audience might know about. That if an abuser commits an act of violence against a woman with a gun, and he's married to her, or lives with her, or has a child with her, that he can be denied a firearm. But not if he's just a boyfriend. So this dating violence with a firearm boyfriend circumstance is a big, gaping loophole. And that's where a lot of the violence is taking place against young women by a boyfriend with a weapon. Gotta plug that loophole. And you can just imagine who's against that in Washington. So we have a fight just to get it reauthorized, but a fight that is even more substantial because of that. So I didn't mean to burden you with that on a Friday before a weekend, but if anything you can do to, and I use that word purposefully, bombard the United States Senate with your voice, telling us, get this done, get it reauthorized, take the House bill, pass it, and send it to the President, then we will all have done our civic duty. So we need your help on this issue, we need your help on child care and a few others. But having seen the testimonials here today, having seen the evidence in this booklet that outlines your work, I have no doubt you can be helpful and bring a lot of light to the darkness of those issues. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you for your patience for nearing the end of the program, we promise. Good afternoon, I'm Judy Bell. I'm the incoming chair of the fund. Senator Casey, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I can imagine you have a lot of other things to do, especially everything that's going on in Washington. We sincerely thank you for your advocacy for women and families. In addition to the senator, we have several other elected officials I quickly want to recognize that came here today also to honor Cheryl. We are grateful to the Chester County Commissioners as well as the Chester County members of the Pennsylvania State House and State Senate for issuing community citations to Cheryl for all you've done in the community. Notably, if you'll please stand if you're here, State Representative Carolyn Kavita, Danielle Friel Otten, Christina Sappy, Melissa Schusterman, and then all three of our Chester County commissioners were here, I saw them. Michelle Kickline, Kathy Cazzone, Terrence Farrell, and Downingtown Mayor Josh Maxwell. So thank you all. When I think about the fund and what it offers to the community, I'm reminded about my own personal journey and where I am today. I call it, don't laugh, I call it a three-legged stool. And it's made up of education, financial acumen, and healthcare. These three areas made up this three-legged stool for me, which supported me to build a strong foundation for our life. Putting myself through college at the late age of what I call late age, 33. Now, Morgan, it seems like never. The late age of 33, I had the ability to make good judgment decisions when it came to finances, although not perfect, Denise, my economic advisor there. And I also, because I had a good paying job with that education in my 30s, it also offered me health care that saved me from financial hardship when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, also at the age of 35. If any one of these opportunities weren't available to me, I certainly wouldn't be standing here today in front of this amazing crowd. Providing women of all ages in our community the chance to achieve economic security and education or skills training to live a healthy and safe life are key. And those three areas are why I am so passionate about the fund and what we do every day. Each and every nonprofit that we support offer programs and resources that have and can have an exponential effect, because when we invest in all women and all girls, we are also investing in the people who invest in everyone else. This couldn't be clearer, Cheryl, with your passion to set up all women to be successful. And it is also why I'm very proud to represent an organization that is so committed to setting up all women and girls in our county for the opportunity to reach their full potential. Now, each of you may have your own story. You're four-legged, five-legged, or even a bench. But for sure, the fund in this community is a crucial component for a better life. But the fund needs to be bolder. We need to lead and unite through philanthropy and advocacy, and we have to grow stronger in our financial support and programs to make this community stronger. The staff and our board of directors have ambitious goals to deliver. In 2018, we completed our 3-year strategic plan to do just that. We need to deepen our impact of the dollars we invest in local organizations who work to set up women and girls for success. While over $3 million in 20 years that we have granted is very impressive, we must do better. We need more. We need to grow stronger by growing our grant making so that we can operate in perpetuity as a permanent resource for women, especially those in life's transitions from young to senior to elderly. We need to utilize that blueprint as a centerpiece to create the space for nonprofits, for our elected officials, and the community at large to learn to build those coalitions, develop our solutions, and promote women's equality and inclusion. The commission, we definitely need to do the next blueprint report. We do it every 5 years to bring to the forefront what's working and what's not as it relates to giving women what they need to reach their full potential. And also to be stronger by strengthening our girls' programs and young women's initiatives to equip the next generation to step up and in their future. While we value and love seeing all of you here today, we want you engaged with us all year. Think about your story, what supported your stool, so to speak. So we're asking you today to give back, either as a fund donor, a corporate partner, or volunteer, or frankly, all of the above. Mother's Day is around the corner. How about a fund pledge today in her honor? Our GAB alum girls are here as well. On your tables, you have these sheets. So we're asking if you please consider all the hard work and initiatives that we have planned for the future to help support us. And finally, speaking of honoring someone, I also want to take a minute to recognize and thank Tricia Lefkoff for her leadership as our board chair for the last 2 years. Serving as board chair is what I call no spa experience. Tricia stepped up when we had transitions going on in the organization, and you led the board through it as well. Got us through and completed a strategic plan and provided great positioning for the future that we've spoken of today. Her dedication and passion demonstrated what matters most in board leadership. Tricia, really, thank you just doesn't seem to be enough, but it's all I got today. So finally, so we can get you on your way to spread the word about the fund, I'm going to bring on Ingrid Tomlinson, our board member, and also chair of this amazing luncheon. Ingrid, you guys and your team did a fabulous job. So I thank you, and we look forward to seeing you and working with you all year.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Judy mentioned, I'm Ingrid Tomlinson, the chair of this year's Making a Difference Luncheon. On behalf of all of us here at the fund, thank you, Judy, for the telling of your journey and the much-needed call to action. I've enjoyed working with Judy over the past several years, and I'm looking forward to working with her in her new role as board chair. I also want to take this opportunity once again to thank all of our sponsors. This event would not be possible without your support. So please stand up so we can recognize you, all of our sponsors that are here. Your support of the fund through bidding in our silent auction is greatly appreciated. Winners of the trips of a lifetime have been notified directly and can speak with the AM Fund representative, Monica, at the registration table. Now I would like to announce the other silent auction and raffle ticket winners. The winners can also claim their baskets and items at the registration table as well. Here we go. Okay. So, number one, the staycation winner is Patty Campbell. The liquor basket, which was number 2, is Kate Sennett. The party wine basket goes to Nancy McLeland. The backyard fire pit goes to Emily Denny. The picnic basket, number 5, goes to Connie Fogarty. The Southern Chester County basket goes to Roberta Turian. The General Warren Inn / Lily basket, number 7, goes to Debbie Kelly. The number 8, the Relax and Joseph, I think it's Anthony Joseph, goes to Debbie Gorlowitz. Number 9, the Artisan necklace, goes to Joyce Lacey. Number 10, the bee necklace and earrings go to Kate Sennett as well. And number 11, the relaxing weekend goes to Heather Sturger. Okay, so if you bear with me, there were 3 raffle opportunities. get your raffle tickets out. So the raffle empowerment basket goes to number 068985. Do we have anybody? It's 068985. No one? I'll come back to that then. So the second raffle is the self-care. There were 3 of them, and there are 3 winners. So self-care, the number is 068389. No one has that number? 068389. Okay, I got a winner over here. The second raffle basket, self-care raffle basket goes to 068376. Okay, over here. And the last self-care raffle basket is 571592. Anyone? Okay. Patty over here. Okay. I have a couple other logistical things to go over. Underneath your bread plate, I want everybody to take a look. Whoever has a penny on the bottom of your bread plate. Anybody who has a penny under your bread plate? Do you have a penny? Okay, I have a special gift for you up here. Well, I'll get your special gift. It's a vase. And then I have another news flash from the AM Fund trips. I was let know that Monica just got word from the founders that she is willing to allow people to match any winning trip bids. So if you missed out on the bidding and there was still a trip that was won, she will match the winning bid. And she'll be able to put an identical trip together for you. You'll still have 3 years, no blackout days. So if you're interested in that, just see Monica at the registration table. Oh, Monica's at the travel table. Okay. So thank you again for joining us as we celebrate the progress that has been made so far with the work to support and empower women and girls in our community. We look forward to your ongoing support to continue to help us build a better path forward for women and girls in the future. Join us right outside for some live music performed by a wonderful group, Grace Notes a cappella, from Westchester University. Enjoy desserts and refreshments while you're networking. Stay connected with us to learn more upcoming opportunities and events to make a difference in Chester County and beyond. Thank you again.